Stephen Rice is the Australian's New South Wales editor. Ricey, we rarely get an insight into how government at the most senior levels operates. This is a pretty secret world. Fiona Brown paints a picture of the Prime Minister's office in panic when they first started hearing that stories were coming about Brittany Higgins. How, according to Fiona Brown in her statement of claim, did the staff in Morrison's office react to her and ask her to behave?
Well, they reacted very badly as far as Fiona was concerned. They wanted to shut the whole thing down, and they appear to have felt that the best way to get rid of it was to freeze Fiona Brown out of all of it and just take it on themselves to try to kill the story or deal with the story as best they can. But part of their feeling seems to be, at least what they were telling her, was it'll all go away. Don't worry about it. These things don't last. You know, even without the benefit of hindsight, that was, for some pretty experienced media hands, they clearly, didn't have any idea how to deal with something, of this magnitude.
In almost the most surprising of ways, Ricey, this is coming back around to Scott Morrison. The allegation from Brittany Higgins, which Morrison has always denied, was that there was a cover-up at the highest levels, and it was all about making sure Scott Morrison got re-elected. Fiona Brown and Linda Reynolds have said, and two courts have agreed, that they were not part of any conspiracy at all. But what Fiona Brown is describing is senior staff who were reacting to this as a political story, weren't they?
They were. I mean, let's get one thing very clear, that neither Linda Reynolds nor Fiona Brown was involved in any kind of cover-up, and that's been established now by two very senior judges. But it does appear that when this story broke, there were senior people in the Morrison government who were prepared to, I won't say go to any lengths, but who I think acted, from what Fiona Brown is saying, who acted poorly in the way that they dealt with this. And part of that was that they literally froze Fiona Brown out of the whole process. They wouldn't let her in on their meetings. They wouldn't. They asked her for her evidence, but then apparently didn't do anything with it. At times, it seems, they actually hid questions from her that were being asked by the media. For what reason, who knows? But it didn't give her any opportunity to respond to, let's not forget there was a conflagration going on outside. The media was hounding her. There were questions being asked under parliamentary privilege in Parliament that completely skewered Fiona Brown as having in some way, connived in or overlooked the rape of Brittany Higgins for political reasons. I mean, it was a very febrile atmosphere, and Fiona Brown was really given no chance at all to present her side of the story.
Especially when Fiona Brown's story, as she has always maintained it, this is her version of events, was good for the government. According to her, she took Brittany Higgins to the police office in Parliament House. She encouraged her. She, in fact, received warm text messages from Brittany Higgins thanking her for her help. You've been around politics and around journalism for a long time, Ricey. We've seen what happens when politicians don't know how to respond. But it seems very unusual that they would not reveal information at that stage that would have helped them.
Look, it doesn't make sense. I find it inexplicable that you had these very seasoned political operatives in Morrison's office who had a good message to sell. It was Fiona Brown who had led Brittany Higgins down to the AFP office in Parliament House to report this. And they had as you say, they had a glowing text that Brittany had sent to Fiona Brown only a couple of months after the incident, which was absolutely praising Fiona for the great help that she'd given her during that whole period. And so they had that in their hands. Why didn't they offer that to the media? They didn't.
Scott Morrison, as the kind of lightning rod for rage and anger about this whole issue, I think it was treated a little bit unfairly in some public discourse. You know, he was slated for saying, I talked to Jenny and Jenny talked me through why this was significant. I think he was reacting like many middle-aged men might, a little bit clumsily in his language, but there's no suggestion that he didn't actually grasp that a rape was bad or was serious. But it's Scott Morrison's interactions with Fiona Brown that are odd and interesting if we are to believe what she says in her statement of claim. Fiona Brown says that Morrison initially shunned her completely, then said publicly that he had spoken to her, and then, according to her, kind of lent on her to make that true, even though it wasn't.
Said, we've spoken, haven't we? When she says that was absolutely untrue. They had never done that. And she says that she was intimidated by that. She immediately agreed. She was bewildered. She actually didn't know what was happening at that point until she thought about it afterwards and realised that he was trying to put into her mouth something that didn't actually happen.
Now, of course, Scott Morrison has always denied wrongdoing. This is a statement of claim, so she gets to have her say. We're not going to hear his side of the story for a very long time until and if this matter makes its way to court. But this is part of a Fair Work claim by Fiona Brown against the Commonwealth. What does she want?
Well, she wants an acknowledgement that she was wronged by the government. In legal terms, she wants the court to find that there was a breach of the Fair Work Act, that the Commonwealth did not live up to its responsibilities to keep her safe in her working environment, and she wants some damages for that. You know, let's not forget that her life was destroyed by this whole episode. She hasn't been able to work since. Her mental health in particular has been devastated. So she's hoping to get some justice out of this case.
The Commonwealth is, though, robustly defending this with some pretty expensive lawyers, aren't they?
Extraordinary. The amount of money that they have thrown at defending this case. It would be remarkable enough anyway, even if you didn't contrast it to the amount of scrutiny that they gave to the $2.4 million that they gave to Brittany Higgins, which was no scrutiny at all. You know, and part of Fiona Brown's claim is that she was further damaged because she was never given an opportunity to challenge the settlement that Brittany Higgins got. Most people, you know, after that thought, well, this young woman got $2.4 million. Her story must have been right. Her story must have been examined properly, and therefore the allegations against Fiona Brown must be true. All of this just multiplied, you know, in terms of the damage that it was doing to Fiona Brown.
Stephen Rice, thank you very much.